Tonight, the Cincinnati Bengals take on the Baltimore Ravens in an AFC North rematch. But this time it's on Thursday Night Football. I've got 5 things to look out for, and this time I wrote them down. So we're going to talk about them next here on Know What's About It. Welcome to No Buts About It. I am Josh Butts, Bengals fan, hoping that they get a win tonight, a much-needed win against the Baltimore Ravens. Now, of course, the Bengals have already played the Baltimore Ravens once this year, and it looked like the Bengals were going to beat them until the game went into overtime. And, well, we won't talk about that. It's a new day, DEY. So let's see, what do the Bengals need to beat the Baltimore Ravens tonight? Well, Joe Burrow, obviously. You need Joe Burrow to be playing the quarterback position, which they have. And we need Joe Burrow to just do what Joe Burrow's been doing. Joe Burrow has been playing fantastic. The last time the Bengals took on the Ravens, Joe Burrow had a 77% completion percentage for 392 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Sounds like a winning combination to me. He had a similar stat line against the Las Vegas Raiders last week, but he wasn't happy with that. He said, I'm not going to celebrate right now. We're not where we need to be. I need to be better. The whole team needs to be better. We all need to be better. And as a fan, that is something I love to hear. I'm sure it's really easy to beat a team like the Raiders and come out as far as you did, which, by the way, I love that they kept their foot on the gas pedal, just kept scoring, didn't let up. That's what I've been looking for every week, really, because the Bengals don't tend to do that. I hope they get the opportunity to do that tonight. But for Joe Burrow to come out and say, hey, look, yes, we beat the Raiders, but we have bigger aspirations. We're still planning on winning the North. We're still planning on being a playoff team. We still have those Super Bowl aspirations. That's huge. I think despite the fact that the Bengals didn't necessarily trade for a pass rusher like we expected, they traded for a running back to fill in for Zach Moss, who is now out for the season. I think that trade also sparks something in the locker room and says, hey, we really believe this. They're putting some sort of action to their words. So Joe Burrow, I just want him to continue to do what he's been doing, continue to lead this offense that has really been fantastic for the most part. There have been a few weeks it has struggled, but Joe has been playing lights out, and we just need him to continue doing that. Number 2, BJ Hill is questionable tonight. He is questionable. He does have that hamstring injury that he suffered against the Raiders. And, we'd love to have him play. We'd love to have him out there. But number 2 is the defensive tackle stepping up. And that would include guys like Chris Jenkins Jr., McKinley Jackson, Sheldon Rankins even, who the Bengals signed in free agency. But the guys I'm really looking at are Chris Jenkins Jr. and McKinley Jackson. So Chris Jenkins Jr., second-round pick, kind of has been of the DTs, of the 2 rookie DTs, he's been the better one, which was expected. McKinley Jackson is a third-round pick. But Chris Jenkins Jr. did get a sack last week against the Raiders. So I'm hoping that is able to carry over that momentum. He's like, I really like that feeling, and he carries that over. McKinley Jackson also had a quiet but much better game against the Raiders as well. And something I've talked about with both of these guys is that we're probably not going to see a ton of sack production from them. But something they did against the Raiders it was talked about, but I feel like it wasn't talked about enough, was they applied pressure to Gardner Minshew and Desmond Ridder. They pushed the pocket back. They pushed the offensive lineman back into the quarterback, and that allowed for Trey Hendrickson to come around the back and get that sack that contributed to Trey's career game that he had against the Raiders. If Chris Jenkins Jr. and McKinley Jackson and Sheldon Rankins, or whatever the combination is up front there, are able to continue to do that, it will be harder against Lamar Jackson, but it will make Trey's job easier than it would if Lamar Jackson just has a free pocket. Obviously, Lamar is able to run off and be more evasive than what like Gardner Minshew or Desmond Ridder is. But if you just give Lamar Jackson a clean pocket, it's going to make Trey Hendrickson's life awful. And so whatever little pressures you can apply to the pocket to make Lamar uncomfortable, hopefully get some tackles for loss on him, get some sacks. And I just think the DTs need to continue to step up, need to continue to improve and help out Trey Hendrickson on that D-line. Next up, this one's kind of obvious, but I still think I do believe it's a key to this game, and that is containing Derrick Henry. So really containing both Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry in the run game are huge. But Derrick Henry is the major one, I feel, because the Bengals have won with Lamar running all over them before. They have not won yet without containing Derrick Henry. Now, that is to say, they did kind of contain him in the first game until they didn't. And as soon as they stopped containing Derrick Henry, that was when they lost. He had a huge run in overtime, I believe it was. It was either overtime or late in the fourth quarter, and that just put the Ravens in position to win the football game, and that's just unacceptable. We can't be doing that. Derrick Henry is the guy who you cannot let him get to the second level. Once you let him get to the second level, he is gone. He is a freight train. He continues to pick up speed. He gets better as the game goes on. That's a pretty popular stat, but if you didn't know that, Derrick Henry statistically, he's good in the first quarter, but by the fourth quarter, he's ready to go. He's got that freight train mentality. Also, I expect the Ravens to run a lot of under center with Derrick Henry as well, just because that allows him to pick up his momentum by the time he hits the D line and guys like Jenkins and Jackson and Hill if he's in. So Derrick Henry, you're going to want to stop him. And if they run those outside runs, Mike Hilton, who has had a history of stopping Derrick Henry from the slot, is going to need to come down and probably tackle him as well. And just cannot let Derrick Henry into that secondary. He will run over the top of whoever comes into his path if you let him do that. Derrick Henry is a future Hall of Famer. Time to put a dent in his Hall of Fame resume tonight on Thursday Night Football. Next up, Jermaine Burton. Jermaine Burton. What a guy. What a confusing, interesting human. I want to interview him and just ask him so many questions in the most respectful way possible. I mean, I was so hyped for this guy this year, and he is someone who I feel like we kind of nailed when doing our prospect video on him. We talked about how he is super talented, athletic, great pass catcher, but he has personality issues, and that's kind of what we've seen with Jermaine Burton and the Bengals. Last week, Zach Taylor said there was a huge game plan surrounding him because T. Higgins was out, and T. Higgins is expected to be out again this week. Jermaine Burton doesn't show up to Saturday walkthrough, and credit to Zach Taylor. I think this is a good move by Zach Taylor. He said, "Okay, you're out. We're sitting there." You put his foot down. I like that from Zach Taylor. I think that's the type of leadership that Jermaine Burton needs, and I wasn't sure that Zach Taylor would be able to provide that. Put his foot down, said, "You're not playing. We'll go on without you." Well, this week now, we've got Jermaine Burton. He's healthy, presumably still a part of the game plan, because Zach and Joe, both in their post-game interviews, made it sound like, hey, we're just going to move on from here. He understands what he did wrong, and he's going to get a second chance. We're going to handle it the way we handle it. Jermaine Burton also had a conversation with TJ Houshmandzadeh, former Bengals legend. and who has been a mentor to Burton. And Houshmandzadeh said he thinks that Burton will be better from now on. He thinks that his words really stuck with Jermaine and that Bengals fans can trust him. Obviously, we're going to have to see it before we believe it, but I really hope and believe that Jermaine Burton can be a big part of tonight's game. Every time he's been on the field, except for one time where he had there was a personnel change and he ran onto the field when he shouldn't have. That's a rookie mistake. But when he's been part of the play, he has been a huge part of the play. He's been exciting to watch. He's been fun to watch, and he looks like he's going to have a great NFL career if he can keep his personality issues out of the way. There's a whole game plan from the Raiders that you have practiced, that you have thought out, that has been created. Use it. Make that part of tonight's game plan, because the Ravens secondary is beat up. Yes, they have Kyle Hamilton and Marlon Humphrey, two great players, don't get me wrong, but they're beat up. They haven't really been all that great. They're a bottom tier passing defense, and they've never seen Jermaine Burton, and they've never seen this game plan. So make that part of tonight's game. Kind of another guy who I think needs to really step up tonight is Mike Gesicki. Mike Gesicki looked great last week against the Raiders. I am putting Mike Gesicki in the wide receiver 2 position effectively. Yes, I know he's a tight end, but he lines up at wide receiver. I want Mike Gesicki to continue to step up. 2 touchdowns, 100 receiving yards against the Raiders. If you can put up a similar performance like that, that is going to make things better. Jamar Chase did not really get used last week, and the Bengals still won. That is very rare that is able to happen. But if you can use Mike Gesicki as a weapon, if you can use Jermaine Burton as a weapon, use Andre Yoshivas in the red zone like you prefer to, that'll open up Jamar Chase, and it will really spread out this Ravens passing defense, and it'll open up the run game as well. So Eric All is down. Mike Gesicki is going to need to step up, and I hope to see him do that tonight. And I'm excited to see him do that tonight because I was excited when the Bengals signed him in free agency, and I was excited last week when he played well. The fifth thing, and this is arguably the most important one, and I don't know why I put it all the way down here at number 5, but here it is. Stop with the screen passes on late downs. I don't know why the Bengals continue to do this. I don't know why Zach Taylor continues to do this. It makes no sense. If you're 3rd and long, do not throw the ball behind the sticks, because if you get a tackle for loss, then you have absolutely no chance of picking up that 4th down. That being said, don't go for it on 4th down on your own 20. That is also not a good idea. Throw the ball deep. Throw these intermediate shots. You have the playmakers. You have arguably the best wide receiver group in the NFL. Even with T. Higgins out, this is still a very good wide pass-catching group. If you include Mike Gesicki, if you include Jamar Chase, if you include all these guys, you have great pass catchers. Use them. Trust them. Trust Jamar Chase to be the best wide receiver in the NFL, if you believe him to be so. Trust him to make those plays when you need him to. Don't throw a screen to the definitely top 2 receiver in the NFL, because it's not going to work. It doesn't work. It has never worked. Maybe if you want to try it on 1st down, fine. I still don't really agree with it. I much prefer throwing past the sticks, spread out the defense more, but I guess if you have to throw the screen pass for some reason, throw it on 1st or 2nd down. Don't throw it on 3rd and 4th down. Just make your offense's life easier. But yeah, trust Jamar Chase. Get Jamar Chase involved. Get those deep shots. There's so many deep shots in the first game against the Ravens, and they were beautiful. Keep those going. Keep that going. That was great. That's a big part of why the game was so close. Don't move away from that. I don't care if you missed the first one. If you missed the first one, fine. Do a few intermediate passes, then go back to him. Just keep it up, because that is where they strive. I don't want to see a ton of screen passes tonight. If you throw a ton of screen passes tonight, the Bengals will lose. I guarantee it. It will happen. It has happened, and it will continue to happen if you continue to throw screen passes. Before I give my honorable mention, big thing tonight, if you could subscribe, I'd greatly appreciate it. We're very close-ish to 500 subs and would like to hit that soon, possibly tonight. If we hit that tonight, that would be huge. Super exciting to get a Bengals win and 500 subscriptions tonight. But without further ado, it is time for the honorable mention of tonight's game. And that is the run game. The run game last week looked great. Chase Brown had a career day. He had over 100 rushing yards, I believe. I think he had like 120. He was great in the passing game. There was like a whole drive where it was just all Chase Brown. He was running. He was receiving. He was getting touchdowns. It was great. Need more of that. Need more from this guy. Just because having that run game, having that explosive run game, it will open up the passing offense. And that's what the Bengals are going to need. The Bengals are going to need to be balanced on offense. And I know this Ravens defensive line can be intimidating. Roquan Smith can be intimidating. But you know what? The Bengals offensive line held up very well against Max Crosby and some other dudes that are on the Raiders defensive line. They opened up the run game very well. Hopefully they're able to continue to do that tonight. Amarius Mims held up pretty well against Max Crosby. And you know what? If you can hold up against Max Crosby, you can hold up against just about anyone in the NFL. We might be getting Orlando Brown Jr. back tonight as well, which would be huge for the run game and the passing game. So, Chase Brown, have a night tonight. Open up that offense. Bengals also traded for a guy, Khalil Herbert, 7th round pick to the Bears for Khalil Herbert. And like I said, this isn't the necessarily the trade that we expected to happen or wanted to happen, but I do understand this trade, and I like this trade because it gives Chase Brown some ability to kind of rest. He doesn't need to do everything. He can do a lot, and I believe Chase Brown is the RB1. But Khalil Herbert, he can run. He can produce if he needs to. He hasn't really been given a chance this year, and he's fresh. He can also be an okay pass protector, which is really what I was looking for in this trade. Can he pass protect like Zach Moss can? I don't know if he's necessarily on the same level as Zach Moss, but Joe seems to already trust Khalil. He says, hey, you know what? I can just lean over to him and tell him which way to run. I can tell him what to do on the play. And we'll use him on Thursday Night Football. So that's exciting. He's probably going to get some snaps tonight. I don't know how significant, but Joe Burrow needs the run game to be somewhat respectable to this defense. Maybe Chase Brown doesn't put up 100 yards again tonight. That's fine. I just need them to be able to put enough guys up front that Joe Burrow can throw over the top of them to Jamar Chase or Jermaine Burton or Mike Gesicki or Andre Yoshibas or whoever, and they get some yards after catch. That's all you need. You just need them to be able to respect the run game. It doesn't need to be fantastic. So as long as the Bengals have a respectable run game that allows the passing offense to get open, and the passing offense is respectable enough that which I think it will be, that the run offense is able to do something, the Bengals can and should win this game. They should have won this game the last time the Bengals played. But we will see what happens tonight on Thursday Night Football. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Like I said just a few minutes ago, we are very close to 500. We would appreciate you helping us out. 97% of return viewers are not subscribed. Thank you to those 3% who are, though. And until next time, go do something nice for someone.